Hello, and welcome back to Logan's Voice, a podcast about grief, advocacy, and the crisis that's taken our loved ones far too soon. I'm Doug Ballinger. I'm Logan's dad, and I speak for him now because he can't. Today's episode's going to be a hard one, but an honest one. We're going to talk about the silence, the kind of silence that falls between families when they lose a child and don't know how to explain it. The silence from newsrooms that ignore overdose deaths. The silence from communities that look the other way. And we're going to ask the question out loud. Why are so many good kids dying and nobody's talking about it? I lost my son Logan to fentanyl poisoning in May of 2020. He was 32 years old. He was vibrant, loved, and full of promise, and gone in an instant. Like so many others, he didn't know what he was really taking. He thought he had a handle on it. He thought he was safe. He was wrong, and we never got to say goodbye. But here's the thing. Logan didn't fit the stereotype of what people imagine when they would hear the word addict. And I bet your loved one doesn't either. This is a different kind of epidemic, one that moves quietly, kills quickly, and leaves families drowning in silence, shame, and stigma. So today, we're going to shine a light on that silence. We're going to talk about the real stories behind these numbers. We're going to break the myth that this only happens to other people. Because I'm here to tell you, it's already happening, and staying silent won't save anyone. If you've lost someone, if you're worried about someone, or if you've ever thought, not my kid, this episode is for you. Let's talk about the truth that's too often left unsaid. Let's start with the myth that's killing our kids faster than anything. The idea that this only happens to those people. You know what I mean. The ones we see in mugshots or on the news. The people society has written off. The ones we've been conditioned to blame, to judge, or to just ignore. But that image is a lie, and holding on to it is costing us lives. Here's the truth. Fentanyl does not care about your zip code. It does not care about how well you were raised. It does not care if you got straight A's or went to church every Sunday. It doesn't even care if you were trying to be safe, because you can't be safe in a poisoned supply. Some of these kids and adults aren't even trying to get high. They're just trying to take the edge off of anxiety or cope with pain or just sleep through the night. Some take what they think is a Xanax or a Percocet from a friend, and it's laced with fentanyl. Or worse, it's nothing but fentanyl pressed to look like something familiar. And the result? They don't wake up. Their heart stops, and families like mine are left picking out urns and writing obituaries instead of celebrating birthdays. Let me tell you something from experience. Logan did not want to die. He wasn't suicidal. He didn't have a death wish. He had dreams and talents and people who loved him fiercely. But one moment, one dose, took it all. That's what fentanyl does. It gives you no second chance, no moment to say, I didn't mean to. No grace period, just silence. And the real tragedy, so many parents are still walking around thinking that could never happen to my kid. Or worse, if it did, it's because they must have done something wrong. We've been taught to blame the victim instead of the poison, to whisper about addiction instead of shouting about the contaminated supply. That mindset is outdated. It's dangerous, and it's time we say it. It's not about bad choices. It's about a deadly game no one agreed to play. And that's why I'm here. That's why you're here listening. Because the more we pull back the curtain, the more we can protect the people we love. The ones still here. The ones we've already lost. This isn't just happening to strangers. It's happening to us. You know what's been the most eye-opening part of this journey? Is realizing that this crisis, this epidemic of silence, stigma, and fentanyl poisoning is everywhere. It's in every classroom, every locker room, every church pew, every office, every kitchen table. And it's not just affecting the kids you might expect, it's affecting the kids you least expect. The ones who were full of promise, full of energy, and full of light. I've met parents who lost Eagle Scouts, National Honor Society members, high school athletes, college freshmen who just wanted to study for finals and took something to stay awake. I've talked to moms who found their daughters slumped over their desk and dads who got that call in the middle of the night and collapsed to the floor. And every time I hear the same thing. I didn't know. I didn't think this would happen to my family. Let me tell you, this is not an urban issue. It's not a poverty issue. It's not a bad parenting issue. This is a poisoning issue. And poison doesn't discriminate. Take a walk with me through one of the memorial projects. Lost Voices of Fentanyl, or Can You See Me Now? Look at the faces, not mugshots, smiling senior portraits, kindergarten photos, graduation caps, wedding days. These are all people who mattered, people who loved and were loved. Logan was one of those faces. And every single time I walk past those banners and see his face looking back at me, I think, how many more are we going to lose before we say enough? You know, sometimes I meet people who say, oh, my child would never, and I don't get angry. I get scared for them because fentanyl doesn't give you a warning shot. It's being sold as Percocet, Xanax, Adderall, Oxy, even in street weed. Kids, smart, kind, deeply loved kids are taking one thing, one time, and dying. No second chance, no chance to learn the lesson. So if you're listening right now, I want you to know this crisis wears every face. Rich, poor, black, white, city, country, it doesn't matter. It's not happening somewhere else. It's happening next door. It's happening at your kid's school. It happened to mine. And unless we start seeing these faces, really seeing them, we're going to keep losing more. We can't save what we refuse to see. That's why this podcast exists. That's why Bridge the Gap exists. To lift the veil, to show the faces, to say out loud, this happened to us, and we will not stay silent. Let's talk about the silence, because it's deafening. You'd think with so many families grieving, so many lives lost, and so many headlines about fentanyl that the whole country would be up in arms. But the truth, most people are still whispering. Or worse, they're saying nothing at all. Why? Because we've been conditioned not to talk about it. Because somewhere along the way we were taught that if your child dies from drugs, it's your shame to carry. That you must have failed them, that they must have made bad choices, and that it's not a tragedy, it's just a consequence. Let me tell you something. All that is a lie, and it's killing people. Silence thrives on stigma. Stigma says, don't talk about addiction. Stigma says, that wasn't a real death, that was their own fault. Stigma says, your grief is different, less worthy, less human. And because of that stigma, families suffer twice. First from the unbearable loss, and then again from the isolation that follows. I've had people stop calling after Logan died. I've had friends disappear because they just don't know what to say. I've been met with tight smiles and a change of subject when I speak my son's name, as if silence is more polite than pain, as if pretending he never existed will somehow make this easier. But let me ask you, if your child died in a car crash, would anyone hesitate to talk about it? If your child died of cancer, would they say, well, maybe they should have known better? No, they'd wrap around you, they'd show up, and they'd grieve with you. But when it's fentanyl, when it's drugs, that compassion disappears. And that's why people like me are speaking out, because someone has to break the silence. because someone has to say, we didn't fail our kids, our system failed them, our culture failed them, and silence and stigma failed them. We don't need more judgment. We need more understanding. We need more truth. We need more voices. That's what Bridge the Gap is about. It's a place where the silence ends, where we say their names, tell their stories, and honor their lives, not their deaths. So if you've been quiet, if you felt like you can't talk about what happened, I want to say this to you. You are not alone. Your grief is valid, and your voice is needed. Because when we speak, we educate. When we share, we heal. And when we break the silence, we can save lives. If you made it this far in the episode, you're probably wondering, okay, I hear you, but what can we do? What difference can I make? Let me tell you, the answer is a lot. No, you can't bring my son back, and no, you can't undo what's already happened in your own life. But you can make sure it doesn't happen to someone else. And if enough of us do something, even one small thing, it adds up. So here's where we start. First, talk about it out loud. Say their names. Share their stories. Tell the truth. Because every time we talk about this openly, without shame, we chip away at stigma. And when stigma falls, help rises. Someone might hear your story and realize, I'm not alone. Someone might recognize the signs of their own child. Someone might ask for help instead of hiding. And second, get naloxone. Carry it and learn how to use it. Narcan isn't just for paramedics or addicts. It's for parents, teachers, friends, coworkers. It's for you. Think of it like a fire extinguisher. You hope you never need it, but if the fire breaks out, you'll be grateful it's nearby. Naloxone can reverse an opioid overdose. It's safe, easy to use, and free from Hope Movement Coalition and so many community health organizations. If you don't know how to use it, reach out. We'll teach you, because no one should die when there's a life-saving tool within reach. And third, support organizations doing the work. Hope Movement Coalition isn't just a name, it's a mission. We provide naloxone. We host public education events like Bridge the Gap to bring awareness to communities across Arkansas and beyond. We hold grief support meetings every Monday night on Zoom, a space where angel families like mine can breathe, cry, and heal together. We fight to end the stigma, educate families, and empower change, but we can't do it alone. If you're a business, sponsor us. If you're a person who cares, donate, volunteer, or simply show up, because presence is powerful. When people see you standing beside a grieving parent or a struggling teen, it sends a message. You matter. I see you. You are not alone. And finally, believe that you can be the reason someone survives. Maybe it's your story. Maybe it's your hug. Maybe it's your willingness to listen when no one else will. We don't need superheroes. We need humans. Brave, honest, compassionate, willing to act. You're listening to this podcast for a reason, and maybe that reason is that you are the one who can break the chain. You are the one who can start the conversation. You are the one that can save a life. Before we close today, I want to remind you of something simple but powerful. Your voice matters. I know how overwhelming this crisis can feel. I know what it's like to stare at your phone after another tragic headline and wonder, what can I even do? But here's the truth. You're doing something right now, just by listening, by bearing witness to the pain, to the stories, to the truth that's so often buried beneath stigma and shame. Maybe you've lost someone. Maybe you're afraid you will. Maybe you're in recovery yourself. Or maybe you're just learning about the poison drug supply for the first time. Wherever you are, I want you to know you are not powerless. You are not alone, and you are not too late to make a difference. This podcast is called Logan's Voice for a reason, because Logan's not here to speak for himself, but I am. And I will be for as long as it takes, not just for him, but for every son, daughter, brother, sister, or friend that we've lost, and for every person we still have a chance to save. So here's how you can help. Support Hope Movement Coalition. Visit hopemovementcoalition.com to make a donation or sponsor our work directly. You can also buy a t-shirt from the shop, wear the message, start the conversation, and help save lives. Every dollar helps us provide free naloxone, host community events, and hold space for grieving families across Arkansas and beyond. Visit logansvoice.com. Get your copy of Logan's Story, a memoir I wrote straight from my heart. Browse Logan's Swag Shop, where every item helps raise awareness and support our mission. A portion of all proceeds from logansvoice.com goes directly to fund Hope Movement Coalition. And share, subscribe, speak up. Share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And leave a review. It helps this message reach others. And most importantly, speak up. Your story might be the medicine someone else is waiting for. The world needs your voice. It doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. Because we speak, we break silence. And when we break silence, we honor those we've lost and protect those still here. Thank you for being part of this movement. Thank you for letting me share Logan's story. Thank you for not turning away. I am Logan's voice. I am Logan's dad. And I will not be silent.